Hi, we're back for another video. I hope you enjoyed my previous story about people I knew and who I worked with, and that was a very positive story about how somebody overcame bullying in the office. Um, I kind of want to shift gear a little bit and this time talk about what is it like to be a supervisor and be a manager, and what employees should expect from me. This is something that if you're a job hunter and you've never managed people, you don't know this, but this is something you should be aware of because there it's not a top down power structure in all organizations. You should understand that the workers who are people who are on the bottom, they are important, and that good managers and good supervisors do acknowledge that it is in some cases bottom up. So um, I kind of want to tell you that when I was a supervisor, what I did was that um, my goal for people coming in, especially if they're coming in for an entry level position, your my expectation is that you learn everything you need to learn about this job, the one that you're hired for. You need to do it in such a perfect way that all of it becomes like, natural. Like you don't even need to think about it. It's just like how to do everything. Um, and it includes the stuff that you don't think about. Like, for example, photocopying. I know, like, that's probably going away. Probably in 10 years when I get out of prison, we won't have that. But, putting together a presentation or a package, right? That you have to print out all that stuff, you have to collate it, you have to make sure it looks good, very captivating visually, like will get your reader kind of into it. Those things I will even teach people because not everybody knows how to do those things, like literally how to put them together, but also how to present the product to a supervisor or to your supervisor or to a president or CEO of a company. And what you really have to remember is that the it's really the precision of the work that is what a supervisor is teaching an employee. Precision is about, like, it is a little bit related to accuracy, so whether or not something is correct or not correct or on point or close to it, or how close is it from what I said to what you actually did. The precision is about, that the expertise and the ease of which you produce that product to where it is to the standard of the person getting it. So I hope that doesn't confuse a lot of you guys, but I'm going to explain further why precision is important. Because when you first start a job, you're gonna stumble. That's okay, and all supervisors should let people stumble. But as you do a task over and over, it will go faster. And so you previously would have spent 20 minutes writing this document or this report, right? But you do enough times, like, you know what? I know what has to change in this report and what I don't have to change. And you can get it down to 10 minutes, right? So if you save 10 minutes, what is the other 10 minutes going to be used for in the future, right? Well, you probably wouldn't need your supervisor to help you out reviewing the document because you probably are so good at it now that you don't need that help. But you probably need some help on figuring out, well, now that I've finished these report, how do I do any type of analysis and compare past documents to what I have now, right? So that's where you're converting the time to then work on, well, how do I branch out from what I learned here to other things that are related to that particular task, right? So as you do that, as you're branching out, you're increasing your precision around all of the work that you do. Now, I always tell for a lot of my new employees, the work is complicated. It will take at least one full year that you're working here before you learn how to do everything in your job, and everything in your job in a very competent way, right? What is a red flag? And of course, sometimes the Jekyll and Hyde, which I've talked to you about, is that when people walk in through the door and they think they know everything, they think that you can't teach them anything, then what usually happens is that they then get lazy, they get sloppy. And you don't, if you are a supervisor, you want to avoid these people like the plague, basically, in the first month of their hire. If they don't listen to you and they still think they know everything, you know, it's probably not something you can fix. All right. If you want to get a good example where people think they know everything but they don't, I'll give you the example of Excel. How many college graduates take a course in Excel, right? Even graduate students who they know statistical analysis programs, and then Excel. Excel, the way it's used in different industries can be so specific. You know, in some places, yeah, it will be probably more around tabulation, you know, aggregating figures. But in others, it may be used to do projections, right? You may be using formulas to do projections. Or in other cases, it may just be for a database to gather information such as addresses and people, and, you know, and so it may not be so much numbers, but actual words. All of those different uses, college does not teach you how to do all of those. And that's going to be taught in the job that you're in, you know, on how to use Excel. I've never had a person who walked in and said they know how to do all the stuff that I would use in Excel as part of this job. It's impossible, because unless you did the exact same job somewhere else with a similar supervisor, because the work is exactly the same, you wouldn't know all of the tips. And I've actually gone and teach other employees at other organizations how to do the work that I do. They do similar work, but they never use Excel in the same way that I do. You know, so for people to walk in and say, "Oh, I know how to use Excel. I know this. What's the difference between a cell and a formula?" Right? That's not enough. I'm going to teach you how Excel is used in this line of work, right? Employees that are willing to take that, that's the folks that you want in your job. And when you gain that particular skill, that's going to stick with you, because now you know one additional way to use Excel, right? So getting back to the topic where I'm saying about how am I supposed to help the employees, right? My responsibility is making sure that if I'm going to teach you this Excel, I'm going to make sure that you know how to do everything I would do. Particularly, for example, in the example of Excel, if I write a formula that is used for budget projections, for example, I would actually show the entire formula, and we'll write it on either a whiteboard or on a piece of paper, and actually write out the entire formula and say, this is what this means, this is what this means. You know, you divide here because it's that. I will literally explain it to them as if it was like a math problem. You kind of would expect a boss who's teaching you or telling you the job that they actually know how to do it themselves. And I've had people in the past who got promoted above me or were coming in from the outside, who were good managers and good at supervising people, but didn't actually know how to do the job. They didn't actually know, for example, what in Excel what that formula meant. And it's important for you as a new person who's learning this from your boss. They're explaining to you, you know, all this stuff. That is also your gateway to get a promotion, right? Say your boss leaves. Your boss taught you how he wrote that formula and how that formula is supposed to use it for which application of the work, right? That is what a good boss would do. They wouldn't leave that as a secret so that they keep all of the gatekeeping of all of the knowledge. A good boss would teach you how to do every single step. So that is kind of what I feel is the responsibility of the manager or supervisor with the people that they hire, right? And if you wanted me to use a different, like a more retail example, think about it if you were working at Home Depot, right? You were working at Home Depot on the lumber side. And yes, there is going to be the more senior guy who does all of the wood cuts, right? Because he's experienced, he knows how to make the cuts with the specific saws, right? He could definitely be like, I want you to get all the customers to line up with their boards. You know ahead of time what cuts they want, and then just keep pushing it down the line. Now, eventually, the more senior guy is going to come to you and tell you, well, do you want to learn how to make the cuts now? And do you want to learn how we get this done quickly? And the answer is yes on your part, because at some point the guy is already can see that you're lining up 10 guys waiting for you to for the this senior guy to make the cuts, when really if there are two saws, both of us can be going at the same time and cutting the work in half, right? So if you think of it from that standpoint, a good mentor or a good supervisor or leader in any department or in any industry, they want you to learn things because it also benefits them. For supervisors who don't care for that, for supervisors who feel like they'll only give you half the recipe and not the rest because they don't want you to think that you'll get better than them, that's a red flag for you as an employee, that probably there is not much opportunities for growth and there's not much you can do to learn more things. That's a big red flag. So that's my brief chat on what to look for in supervisors, and how you can best uh, play the role of an employee and benefit the most in an organization. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave some comments down there. If you like this video, like it. If you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe. This is one of my later videos on my professional development series, but you can check out the playlist for other videos that I've done on the interviewing process and other issues in job hunting. I hope you guys are doing well out there on the job hunt, and I'll talk to you guys soon.